and gentlemen, I would like to invite the founder, CEO, PAM Africa, to give us his opening remarks and, of course, go into his keynote address to talk to us. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes forward. Well done.
So thank you very much, Wisdom. A long friend of mine and really a narrator in the energy access space in Nigeria. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming today to the PAM Center. Here is where we work, but today we made it where we have fun, right? So we're going to have a bit of fun today. There's going to be drinks, food later on. Feel free to ask any questions that you need to know about us as PAM. The PAM team are here to support you. They're in the black T-shirts and they're very excited to showcase their innovations and projects they've been working on. So you'll be hearing a lot more about them. Just a brief background of myself. I actually started in the renewable energy space, solar energy space, at the age of 11. So that's myself and my dad. He's somewhere in this room. I think he's sitting down upstairs there watching everyone. But he's probably one of the... yeah, please give a round of applause to him, please. Thank you. So he's, I would say, probably one of the pioneers of the solar energy space in Nigeria. This was over 2 decades ago. This picture was taken. We were building solar energy projects for rural communities. Last 4 years, during COVID, I took the plunge and left London to Lagos to set up PAM, and with the idea that we want to be the forefront of innovation for providing people access to energy. And we're looking at it from an impact perspective, but also how do we create value across the continent, not just in Nigeria. And just a bit of more context in terms of where do we see ourselves going. We value partnerships, and that's why in this room, a lot of our partners are here, but also people who have interest in this space, and we're so grateful for you to be here today. But I'll give you a bit more context to the lay of the land in Lagos and also Nigeria. What are some of the learnings that we've seen over the last couple of years? What are some of the mistakes we've made? But also, what are some of the successes that we've had? But the team also will probably provide much more detail later on. So we have a single enemy. I call it a single enemy, which is generators. And if you've probably been in Nigeria in the last couple of days, some of you who've come from far, you probably hear a lot of generator sounds going on. The fumes, it's very obvious that this is a big problem. And it's a problem that everyone faces. But not only that, from a cost perspective as well, the price to operate these generators are skyrocketing every day. And there's a lot of challenges around that, and we need to solve that and try to remove or reduce the amount of generators that we use. So a bit of context on Lagos. This is a report that was recently launched this month from the Sustainable Energy for All that looked at generator gensets in Lagos, and they actually quantified the problem, and specifically to Lagos. And there's really about 4.4 million generators in Lagos. So it's a lot of generators in a small city. What's quite interesting is majority of the generators are in the residential sector, but in terms of capacity of the generators, there's more capacity in the commercial sector, right? So that's something that I found very interesting. Diesel being huge in the commercial sector, while petrol being a huge part in the residential sector. So we know the problem. We need to really try to work on that. Okay. But there's progress. I call this, we're actually having a hockey stick moment in Nigeria. And what I mean by that is we've been having a gradual increase in the amount of solar energy that we are seeing in Nigeria. As of now, majority of our energy mix is between gas, petrol and diesel generators, and also solar. But we're seeing it if we actually stick to the Nigerian Energy Transition Plan, which aims to, by 2050, hopefully, we wouldn't be able to see any more diesel and petrol generators. Now, they say man plans and God happens, and I really hope that we get to that point where there's much more solar and gas than generators. And obviously Nigeria is looking at gas as a transition fuel. So there will still be a component of gas within our network, but hopefully they'll get to a point that we could also transition from that as well. But it's not all fairy tales and it's not all interesting. Let's be practical. In certain part of the industry, the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? So there are sectors that a lot of investment has gone into, but not much value has come out of it. And we should all be aware of that when we're thinking about our projects, when we're thinking about our innovations. So when we look at how we think about things in PAM, we think about it across these 6 segments. So down from the grid, which is the national grid that we have, all the way down to the rural domestic customers. And the value proposition across all 6 sectors are interesting to us, but also, like I said, not all of them is worth squeeze. So we're going to see a lot more consolidation happening, a lot more support where players who are in the areas of higher value would provide support to the areas in lower value. And hopefully that value changes to something like this in the future, where that is evenly spread across the access value chain. But also another thing is that we're thinking about the industry as a tree with different branches. Branches in terms of assets class, branches in terms of business models, and we really have to think about it from a whole system perspective in terms of how we're driving it. And actually we have a project where we applied such whole system approaches that actually enabled energy access to be better in certain regions. So when we look at, briefly, just looking at the different asset classes that are in our space, it's quite interesting that some asset classes have better utilization, some asset classes have lower cost or levelized cost of energy. And what you're seeing is that hopefully we want to get to a point. I know one of the biggest challenges of those who are operating in the mini-grid space is low utilization. Right, so we want to get to the point where we're getting high utilization and at a reduced cost. And I think that's a sweet spot for us when we're thinking about innovation in this space. We have a project that we've worked on, and the team will talk a little bit more. It's called a Net Zero Village, called an NZV, and takes a whole system approach thinking to energy access. And we definitely feel that that project would be, or a similar approach and methods are going to be what would lead to those higher utilization and lower cost model. But research is important, and as PAM, we start everything from a research perspective. So a lot of people who probably have an idea, or a lot of businesses have ideas, they go ahead and deliver, but haven't spent much time in research. Understanding the customer, understanding data, using this data to derive solutions and services or new business models. So it's important that we actually take a research-led approach to energy access. It's quite important. So we've looked at some of the, top 10 challenges that we've seen ourselves as a business, but also we've asked other companies who we work with to see what are some of the biggest problems that you actually face within the sector. So I wouldn't go through all 10 of them, but the top 3 at the moment that we're seeing, obviously I talked about research initially. Having a better granular understanding of the customer is very important. But not only that, also the cost of energy storage. Storage seems to be a very huge component of our solutions. And also we're finding ways to reduce that cost. It could be operational strategies, but it could also be technical innovation. And also we're seeing new technologies that are coming in to support that activity. But also understanding the local lay of the land is also very important. One of the biggest challenges that we've faced running a business in this sector is also the currency volatility. So If you're running a service-based model, or you're offering energy as a service, for example, your cost is also localized in obviously the local currency, Naira, and obviously that changes to the dollar or pound very frequently. So we need to also be aware of those and figure out strategies that can allow us to mitigate those risks. And also there's a couple of other ones, the ability of skilled staffs, high reliance on imports. So we do import a lot of products. Obviously unclear policies, so policies are always changing with the volatile environment that we're in, and also we need to be aware of those things. Just a couple of those things to note. Batteries. I specifically wanted to touch up on the batteries because when we started PAM initially, we wanted to focus solely on batteries because we knew it was one of the biggest challenges. But then the amount of technology available, the skill set to work on this technology, we had to work and train our staff members over the last 4 years. So this is actually the first time we've actually opened the doors to our establishment to see what we're working on. So you hear a lot more about what we're thinking about, how we're thinking about batteries, and what we're working around that. But we're also seeing new innovations come into space that hopefully should make it cheaper. Some likes of like sodium-ion batteries, possibly second life batteries in Africa, possibly. I think these different innovations are actually quite important and key. But also how you think about how you deploy storage. Are you thinking about service-based models? Is your business model more intelligent enough that can reduce the cost of your batteries? It's quite important. So just to give you a bit more context, averagely on our projects, about 33% of the cost, 43% of the cost is from the batteries alone. So that is something that we have to look at and try to solve. But not only that, we're also seeing the cost of batteries reduce significantly over the last couple of years. We had a little bit of a blip in 2022 because of the chip shortage, but we've seen that continually decline. And this shows good progress. And this is specifically for lithium-ion batteries. I'm not sure about other cells at the moment, but this shows good progress with the state of the art of the technology right now. And it's something that we should also consider. But last but not least, I'm just going to talk about some other things that we've learned by deploying systems in Nigeria. And I think Alice will talk about the numbers of the type of systems that we've done after I speak. But one of the most important things that we've learned is how do you operate these systems, the operation and maintenance of these systems. What is your operational strategies? Because it's good to get a system out there, but it's very hard to keep it running for a long period of time, right? And ensuring that you achieve bankability, that's also very important. So some things that we do that are quite interesting is having very, very fast response period to operation and maintenance requests. That seems to be one of the key things. We're also leveraging partnership. We can't do it all by ourselves. There are other partners in different regions. They have different skill sets. And it's important to see where the value lies and hopefully find a solution to improve your operational strategy. Another thing as well that we think is quite important is supporting local businesses, local manufacturing, local engineers. This is quite important to kind of upskill those talents. And some of your costs could also be localized, which allow you to kind of beat on some of the exchange rates or the inflation that we're currently experiencing. So that's some of the learnings that we've had in the last couple of 4 years. I've tried to digest it in a short time. There's obviously more, but these are some of the key ones that we think is quite important. So I think that's really the end of my slide. So the vision stays the same. This is what we feel and what we want Africa to look like in the next couple of years. And with you guys in this room, I believe that we can get there. So let's get the electric vehicles out there. Let's get the energy that's clean. Let's get it distributed to everyone so that more innovations that needs to be fed on this bed can come to life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patrick. But before I let you go, just a question. We'll get you back again for a broader conversation. But On your top 10 challenges, I saw that unclear policies was number 6. I thought it would be like number 3. Have the policies improved? Do you see confidence in the policies we have presently? I mean, as a player and an operator in the sector, what has changed to make that number 6 in your top 10 challenges?
Yes, I think unclear policy is very important. So there's a lot of different organizations. So we find it hard keeping up. I know we actually spend a lot of time on research, and there's a team member that specifically looks into government policies and what are the different layers of the line for our innovations. And we found it's so fragmented. So there's so many different government bodies interested in different parts of the work. Sometimes working in silos and not cohesive in terms of a single policy to drive things forward. But we've seen the likes of Sustainable Energy Oil coming in and supporting Nigeria to developing the energy transition plan. So that's quite good, and obviously that's allowed us to see some faith in the work that we're doing, and hopefully that it has an opportunity for growth in the future. But also, we have to also acknowledge what has been done, obviously by the Rural Electrification Agency. Toby, I think Toby's from here, from the Rural Electrification Agency, and the work they've been doing also allows us to feed into some of the work and drive things forward. But also, we have to kind of work hand in hand with the regulators as well, because a lot of the technologies are quite new. So when you're working with new technologies, if you're approaching a regulator and they don't have as much understanding as you would have to really handhold them through that process. And as a startup company, that's a very difficult job, because we're still trying to survive, but also having to kind of work with regulators in that process. But we're keeping abreast of these things, and we're always engaging with them. And hopefully that leads to more clarity in the future.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.